Hey there trainers, Alakaham here with some more Pokemon video magic, and in today's video I am going to be focusing on showcasing my recently updated Shadow Zapdos. This has kind of mediocre IVs, but it was playable in the Great League, and Shadow Zapdos is actually pretty good against a lot of the meta in the Great League, so I went ahead and gave it an extra charge move. It is the most Stardust I have ever paid for an extra charge move. That 120k is pretty hefty, particularly for somebody who does not grind all day every day and does not have just hundreds of thousands of Stardust laying around. But I went ahead and saved up and gave it the extra move, and I think it's fairly playable even if you just have Thundershock and Drill Peck. So if you wanted to try one of these for yourself, if you have access to one, I think that works great. If not, I think this could be fun to just see one of these original Kanto legendary birds having a blast here in the Open Great League. Okay, so we are going to hop into game one. These games aren't sped up quite as much as usual because I found myself having a difficult time keeping up with explaining some of the choices that I make in the process of playing through these games, and things were just going a little bit quick for me. So this particular video is going to be nice and easy going, I hope. And the kind of logic behind the team is that most of the stuff that beats Zapdos, like rock types and ice types and those kinds of things, are all going to have problems with Galarian Stunfisk. And for a while I was trying out Metacham in the back, but that just wasn't working out as well as I hoped it would. So instead now I put in Sableye just because of its general kind of play against most of the Pokemon in the meta. Of course, in this particular game, as you can see, I'm getting pretty hard countered here because the only thing that has much play against Scrafty was going to be the Zapdos. Unless I had some kind of energy lead or shield advantage, it was going to be very difficult for me to deal with this Scrafty. And so that's going to create a problem here because Zapdos is incredibly glassy to begin with, so even resisted fighting type moves were going to be able to take it out there. And in order for Sableye to finish off this game, I'm going to need to land a return, and this Scrafty is just loaded with energy. So this first one was a challenge for me, and I was very worried when I started recording this video that it was going to be a very serious problem and I wasn't going to be able to make the team work. But as I will show you in the rest of the video, I was able to get some play from this team. Okay, so I guess I'll start talking a little bit more about the actual matches now. Coming against a really good lead with the Venusaur here. Of course, Zapdos does not want to take any charge moves, even from things that are going to be resisted because it is so incredibly glassy. But my opponent does not respect the Drill Peck, so I was able to actually one-shot the Venusaur. That was pretty nice. Even though Venusaur is incredibly bulky, the Shadow Stab Drill Peck did a lot of damage. This was one of the only situations in which having that extra Thunderbolt move was actually really helpful, because Thunderbolt does neutral damage to things like Bastiodon, right? So I come in with the Galarian Stunfisk, and I am over farming because I know that this thing isn't going to be able to take me out with any single move, and maybe not even with a couple of moves. So I over farmed just a little bit, and then I threw the Earthquake to either get the shield or to take out the Bastiodon there. But I wanted to have a little bit more energy so that I had the possibility to have some loaded energy against anything else that might come in if they decided to swap out. They're not swapping out, which tells me that they may have a problem with Galarian Stunfisk in the back. I do throw that Rock Slide in order to take them out because their health was low enough that I didn't need to waste all that energy, and they bring in their own Galarian Stunfisk. The opponent does not respect the Earthquake, which makes sense, right? Because their their win con at that point was for me to try and bait them with a rock slide, so they were playing that exactly how they should have, but they were just in a bad position against the Galarian Stunfisk there. So I was able to take that game, and a lot of that was due to Shadow Zapdos. It took out a whole Pokemon and almost a half, so Zapdos coming in clutch there. I do like to play Zapdos up front to make sure that it has shields against charge moves. All right, we have another very good lead against the Medicham. I am over farming a bit again so that I have some residual energy in case my opponent swaps out. I count up, wait until they're in the middle of a move, and then I threw the Drill Peck. I am going to shield this up because an Ice Punch would do massive super effective damage. I continue to overfarm just a little bit, and here I'm going to go ahead and throw the Drill Peck again. It's fine that they shielded because I know that we can outpace them to the next move. And another reason to overfarm a little bit is so that if your opponent doesn't know the exact counts and they're trying to figure out how many of the fast moves it takes to get to your charge move, it's not going to help them out if you're throwing extra fast moves. So I was able to get to that charge move before they anticipated it. And now my opponent brings in the Mandibuzz, and they were expecting a Drill Peck, but instead they got the super effective Thunderbolt, and I was probably going to be able to Thunderbolt that Registeel as well, and then Galarian Stunfisk would have been able to come in and put in a lot of work. So my opponent conceded the match, and that worked out really well. I'm happy with how the team performed. Great job to my opponent, and we are on to the next game. This time we have Shadow Zapdos into Mandibuzz. This is another favorable matchup because we have access to Thunderbolt, which will do super effective damage, and as you saw in the last game, it almost one-shots. But again, we do not want to tank any moves, so I'm going to go ahead and shield. I purposely did not throw first because A, I wanted to see if they were going to switch out after they threw their first charge move, and B, I was trying to sneak in extra Thunder Shocks, which I was able to do there. Got a bit of extra energy. So I threw the Drill Peck first, anticipating that they would shield, and now that they've seen Drill Peck, I'm going to throw the Thunderbolt, and we are able to surprise the opponent, landing the Thunderbolt, and my opponent brings in a Registeel. So the Thunderbolt is still going to do quite a bit of damage, even though it's not going to one-shot like it did with the Mandibuzz. Yeah, we did half of its health. Look at that. Even Registeel does not want to be tanking moves from Shadow Zapdos. Even though Zapdos, again, is incredibly squishy, it hits so hard. So we don't have much to worry about with this Registeel. I'm just going to go for a Rock Slide because that's really all I need, plus the fast moves to be able to take it out. We just have to shield once and farm down, and there's going to be so much residual energy here. It's going to be fantastic. So yeah, just mud-shotting away, and my opponent brings in a Jellicent. Sableye is pretty well equipped to be able to deal with the Jellicent, but just to make sure that we can actually KO with one foul play, I went ahead and threw the Earthquake to do some chip damage. We are going to have to eat a Shadow Ball here, which is not great. That does a decent amount of damage, but Sableye is able to tank one, and we are able to go for the foul play here to take out the old mustachioed jellyfish, and a few extra Shadow Claws are going to do it for the Registeel there. I do enjoy, because I see it so frequently, that every Pokemon on this particular team has some play against Registeel. Even if it's not super effective damage, it can be pretty decent neutral damage there, right? Those stab foul plays off of Sableye hit pretty hard as well. All right, this time we have Zapdos into Scrafty. This is another positive lead, which, as you've probably guessed, is really what you want to see if you are running Shadow Zapdos, because it is fairly difficult to work around Zapdos being in bad matchups. But that's okay, we were given a positive lead here, and my opponent threw too quickly for that to be a foul play. Foul play takes 6, 7 fast moves, something like that. So they definitely didn't get there. My opponent shielded up the first move, but because we had overfarmed, again, they kind of anticipated that it would take us longer to get to that next charge move, and we beat them to the punch, and they did not want to give up that extra shield. In this case, I kind of thought that the Thunderbolt would do more, but I should have just been going for Drill Pecks for efficiency, because Thunderbolt is resisted here because of that ground typing on the Galarian Stunfisk, and unfortunately they're just able to Mudshot down, so this is not a great situation for me. I come in with the Sableye kind of hoping that my opponent is not going to have an answer for the Galarian Stunfisk, so I'm just trying to get that last shield, get my opponent low with the Sableye, low enough perhaps that I can come in and farm down. So I make an aggressive swap there, hoping that they don't have an answer for me in the back. And we're in an okay situation. They come in with a Tropius, and it is a Razor Leaf Tropius. So that's good and bad for us, kind of at the same time. It's good because it takes them a little longer to get to charge moves. It's bad because they're doing neutral damage, and pretty hefty neutral damage with those Razor Leaf fast moves. We are able to slightly outpace them, but it's going to take more than one Rock Slide to finish off this Tropius, right? It's actually looking like it's going to take 3 Rock Slides, even though they do super effective damage, to take out the Tropius. Rock Slide is non-stab. So I am building up energy, but unable to get to that last Rock Slide. And that actually works out pretty okay for us, because that lets my Sableye farm down. It's lucky that we were healthy enough to survive a couple of Razor Leafs, because those do a lot of damage, but it did allow me to charge up enough energy from those Shadow Claws to get to the foul play and close out the game. So I had a lot of fun playing with Shadow Zapdos, and it is kind of tricky to use, especially if you lose the lead, but it also hits really hard. It's easy to take opponents by surprise with how much damage it can do, and it was a lot of fun to run. So if you're a fan of those original Kanto legendary birds like I am, it's definitely worth a try. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you do, please go ahead and leave a like. And of course, if you're not subscribed yet, I would love to have you around to see more videos and to let me know what you think in the comments. I'll have more content ready for you sometime soon. Until next time, trainers.